musician, entrepreneur, and Denton legend, frontman of Midlake and creator of E.B. the Younger, co-founder of Norman Roscoe, partner in Paschall's, and longtime ambassador of Denton's creative scene. I'm honored to have the one and only Eric Pulido in today's episode of If You Didn't Know. Denton's got it all: the food, the music, the art, and of course the people. And behind every corner, there's a story worth sharing. And that's what this podcast is all about. Denton's best, one conversation at a time. I'm Brad, and this is If You Didn't Know, Now You Know. All right. Yeah, welcome to today's episode of If You Didn't Know. Eric Pulido is in the house. So excited to have you.
It's good to be here. Thank you for having me, Brad.
You bet. Wasn't too long of a journey to get here, was it?
No, I walked. So it's convenient. It's very convenient.
If nothing else, it's convenient. That's good to know. Well, man, you've got some exciting things going on in your life, and wanted to catch up and visit with you about that. I mean, you've been, charging hard here in Denton for many years now, but you've got a new album coming out in November, A Bridge Too Far.
Yep.
So
getting the band back together.
Getting it back together. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about just kind of some stories from the road and your experience in the band. And of course, like I said, Norman Roscoe and Paschall's and some of the other things you're doing, on the business side of things in Denton and downtown Denton specifically. So really excited to have this discussion with you. Well, I know you grew up in Houston, and I guess we should just kind of get it out here right now. I think you're a Houston Astros fan. Is that right?
I am. But I'll give a caveat. I am an Astros fan and a Cowboys fan, so I'm kind of hated by both factions. I grew up in Northwest Houston. It's actually a subdivision called Jersey Village, but it's a city as well. Yeah. You could live like an hour away from someone in Houston. Be like, I live in Houston as well. And so, just lifelong Astros fan. But when I moved to college, the Houston Oilers, who I was a fan of, they left, went to Tennessee. The
Titans, yeah.
And then my next stop after college was Denton. And as you know, it can kind of be hard not to know what's going on with the Cowboys and become a fan. And I felt hard and deep, and I'm still with them. I wasn't even a part of the good years. I came right after that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the misery of being a Cowboys fan.
I love it though. Still watch every
But
Sunday.
Yeah, it's. I remember when a few years ago when the Rangers and the Astros were having some of those big battles. It was like.
It's fun. I like that they're in the same, division now and can just watch more games and can go to a game, and it's a good rivalry and it's been fun. And I'm not anti-Rangers. It's kind of fun to have this newfound stronger rivalry for sure. Yeah.
Well, so you started college at A&M, right?
Correct.
And then ended up in Denton. So tell us how that transitioned.
So I went to A&M. I got a marketing degree from A&M. I did an internship in New York at the summer before my last semester for Universal Motown Records. And I thought, this is what I'm going to do. Because I was a musician. I played, but mainly just like at church. Like I played Mackenzie, who's the drummer of Midlake, and I played together at church. He was a lot cooler and played in different bands and stuff. But like that was my music thing, and still continued when I went to college. But I was like, okay, I love music. How do I merge these business and music? And so I did this internship in New York, and I loved it. I mean, it was like 21, 22 years old in New York, digging in the music scene, seeing all these bands, great food, just awesome, just everything. But I didn't get a job offer, and I needed to go back to school to finish my degree. And it was a big thing. I really wanted to finish, especially for my dad, who had helped put me through college. I'm like, I need to finish, even though I don't know what I'm going to do. And you'd have these job fairs where these folks would come. I'm like, I don't want to work at a marketing firm or whatever. And long story longer, the band Midlake was already a band, but they were a 4-piece at the time. And of course, Mackenzie
on the drums,
played drums, and I knew him, and I had been visiting Denton since the late 90s, and even was a fan of the early beginnings of the band. And if you look at the first EP, it says Eric Pulido Management on the back. I was gonna maybe manage the band, so it was like a weird, just yeah, just a myriad of things kind of going on as I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with life. And they called me at the end of 2001 and said, "Hey, we want you to join the band." And I'm like, "Why? You don't want me? I'm a hack. Like, what?" And they're like, "Well, you'll figure it out." So I finished my degree at Texas A&M and moved to Denton to join a band. And I did enroll in UNT, but I just took like theory, had oral skills. I took a classical guitar class. I was just, in some ways, I thought I'd never enroll in school again. I'm like, I'm finally done. And I was like, well, these guys are talking in gibberish to me because I didn't know theory well, and I just wanted to learn some. And so that was part of the reason. But I took very, very little, and kind of found my place with the band. And obviously that's evolved over the years. But yeah, we all lived together and had a studio in the house, and that's where we rehearsed there on 1910 Oak Street.
On Oak Street.
Yep.
Okay. Wow, that's cool. That's fascinating. So the band started. They kind of started in
99.
99. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're
in 2001.
I see. And so, but you said you were kind of coming up here, I guess, with just visiting Mackenzie. Is that what?
Yeah, and I obviously I met the guys. You know, kind of became friends with them, and also. Coming from Houston to College Station to Denton, it felt like a portal to Narnia in a way, because it was just different. And I did love music and the arts, but just hadn't really experienced that element where you go to a house party and there's a whole band set up playing music and trading out on instruments and stuff. And I just thought it was really cool. I remember one of my first memories is Mackenzie and I went to Rick's place, which used to be there on Fry Street, and you'll know the reference if you've seen Weird Science. Rob G and the Latin Pimps were playing, which Robert Gomez is now my friend. At the time, he was just some dude, band leader in a band with David Pierce as well. And we walk in, and the record just kind of stops. Like, you're looking at these two, dorks walking into like, continue, and people are sweating and dancing and stuff. I'm like, I don't know if this is our speed, but this is cool. And like, I don't know. I at an early, age and time, I saw the unique and artistic nature of this town and community, and just felt lucky to kind of in some way be a part of it by being in a band that was trying to figure it out as well. And obviously different aspects of that music scene, but that was the thing, is like, especially those folks, which the band was all out of UNT, like, well, we're not moving to New York to be jazzers, so we want to do this band.
That's where they all came out of the jazz program, right?
Yeah, and Tim was a saxophone player who then kind of transferred into being in the band that had a sax at the beginning, wasn't Midlake, but then transitioned into starting to write songs, singing, and then Midlake formed, and that was kind of the beginning. And I was kind of, like I said, just on the peripheral as a fan and friend, championing it on. I'm like, you guys are great.
Yeah, keep it up. Okay. Wow, that's really cool. So talk to me about I want to talk about Tim and then his transition out of the band and kind of what happened, but there was an evolution of kind of your style and what you were playing. When did that kind of start evolving, and how did that happen? Yeah,
a lot of it early on, and even throughout, it's like you find a new toy of this music that's influencing you. And in those early days, of like, of course, Radiohead or Bjork, they're even as we got into our first album, Flaming Lips, Granddaddy, kind of even that what you would call indie world kind of emerging, and you're seeing bands that are figuring it out and like becoming a little more known and successful, of that influencing the music that we're making. And then moving into the next album, The Trials of Van Occupanther, came very like West Coast folk rock, and then The Courage of Others, more British folk. And it's like, it was just new music that we were eating up, because we just really loved it. And it, as you know, if you listen to something, it just kind of starts coming out of you when you're creating. And so we were definitely aware of those influences and didn't want it to be like a pastiche thing of now we're doing this thing or we're doing that thing. We wanted it to be authentic, and I really think it was. It was just, it created an evolution of sorts in the songs and sounds that we were making as a band.
Yeah. I've always found it interesting that, and I've heard this anecdotally, but you can confirm if this is right or how much truth there is to it. But that y'all are a little bigger in Europe than you are here in the States. Is that true? And how's that even measured? I guess
It is, because we got signed to a record label that is in the UK.
Okay.
And that really was the reason, because I'll kind of give you the backstory. There's a band called Lift to Experience that was signed to this label. They're called Bella Union.
Okay.
And at that time, we had, we're playing shows regionally. We had some songs that we had recorded that we were playing, but we hadn't really even arrived at that first album.
Right.
We did a demo of like 5 or 6 songs of those songs on that album, and the guys from Lift to Experience gave our demo to the label head, Simon Raymond, at Bella Union, and he wrote us back and said, "I want to have Midlake's babies." And we're like, I think that's a good thing.
Exactly.
I think, at the time, we're all working day jobs. I was working at E-Instruction, which I don't know if you're familiar, but I was working at E-Instruction. It was a great job. I was kind of moving up the ranks. I had a salary. I had health insurance. I'm like, this is good. And I'm like, but we got signed to that label, and it took a couple years. It was really the next album, when we started touring a lot more, that things picked up. That first album kind of flew under the radar a little more and just didn't do as well. But we were traveling to Europe to play shows. I mean, at the end of the day, I remember my grandma would tell me, "You're so lucky to see the world with young eyes." And I took it to heart then, and I still do now, even though I'm not as young. I was like, this is really cool. Yeah. And whether there's 5 people there or 500, like I got to see the Eiffel Tower or whatever. It's like I was, and still am, very grateful for those experiences. And but because of their influence there, it started really in the UK, and we started to get publications that were giving us a look, a lot, because I think a lot of the media at the time would kind of feed off of that, you know, and so Australia might feed off of the UK, so you get some exposure. Oh, we get to go to Australia, and so that really kind of fed the spread of at least knowing us around Europe. U.S., there seemed to be, we've been able to do a lot in the U.S. It's just, even just geographically getting, like, we got to get to the West Coast. Like, okay, then we're going to be playing, Phoenix on a Tuesday night. And it just kind of felt like, it's always kind of been the running joke, like, that doesn't make sense, but if we can pay the gas, to get to the next town, it seemed a little harder to get to the coasts where some of those bigger cities were or are, and make sense out of tertiary markets and such. Whereas Europe, you can just cover so much ground, and we were getting more media exposure over there.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, I love traveling Europe and other places, but where have been some of your favorite stops? Your favorite cities?
Reykjavik, Iceland was really awesome.
Okay,
we played a festival over there, and I met Bjork, who I previously mentioned, who's kind of a big influence, and I just love her music, and that was just really cool. I love Australia. That one of our first trip was to Byron Bay, which was a festival there, and you kind of go down the coast, and then we got to fly over to Perth once as well, and that was really, really fun. Just, we went straight to the coast and just jumped into the ocean. It's just like stuff like that. It's just it's really fun to see places that I would probably never see, or maybe later in life,
Yeah. Well, Iceland's not. It's as cool as it sounds. It's not at the top of a lot of people's list, and so to get an opportunity like that, it's like,
we love to run as well and just be outside. So a lot of times, even though I walk more than I run these days because my joints, but it gives you the opportunity to just see places. And I've just always tried to get up early, go look around, see something before you have to play the show and then leave,
Yeah. Well, and you've opened for a lot of, you've performed with a lot of other bands, sometimes opening, sometimes performing in a festival or whatever. So some of the coolest experiences there, other bands that you've played with or opened for?
Neil Young was a big one. We got to play open for him in Istanbul, and
wow.
Yeah, that was neat. I say snuck because his portion of the backstage was not our portion of the back. I kind of got into his area, took a photo with him. I'm like, I need to make sure this is documented. Yes, that was really neat, and really Turkey has been really good to us over the years as well. And part of it might be because of that exposure of it. We got to open for Neil Young. I mean, that's a really neat thing. I will say in the early days, we opened up for the Flaming Lips for a tour or two. And that was really big because we had looked up to them so much, and specifically Wayne and Steven just being so encouraging. And Wayne would come out on stage and like get the crowd going for us. And he told us one time backstage, we're like giving us advice, and he's like, we're just like waiting with bated breath, and we're like, what is it? He's like, just stay together. And we've somehow managed to do that. So I appreciated their encouragement for sure.
Good advice.
Yeah, stay together. That's how you keep going.
Well, speaking of that, though, there was a little bit of a shift, as we kind of mentioned earlier, in the band when Tim Smith left. So as much as you'd like, kind of riff on that a little bit. What happened? Kind of. Yeah. How did that change things? What did y'all think everything was over, or what? What were your thoughts at the time?
So, love Tim to this day. Still talk with him and keep in touch, and a big supporter of his solo project Harp. We had, done 3 albums together, and we were working on our 4th album. And we had actually, which we didn't do well in the past, we were playing shows while also recording, which was kind of nice because not only do you stay fresh and play shows, you get to try out songs and make a little money too, because you don't make any when you're just sitting at home recording every day, which kind of had become what we do. We'd show up to the studio. We had a studio just down the square. We had opened our bar, Paschall Bar, and that was kind of nice to offset some things. But we needed to play out and really finish the album, and we had tried to work with a producer. It didn't work. We were just spinning our wheels for the better part of 2 years, and I think he felt that weight and frustration of like, oh, the guys are kind of waiting on me to be happy and things are where they should be or done, and that doesn't feel good,
Right.
And it was just us 5, just every day in the same room working on stuff. And I think it just got to the point where he felt it best to remove himself and just quit and said, you guys carry on without me. You can use these songs or these songs. And I hope the best, but it's just, I can't do it anymore. And we got together like quickly, and us 4, and kind of were like, well, do you want to keep going? Like, how do we, actually it may have been 6 at the time and then 5. I'm trying to remember now. But it was, we were trying to figure out how we would move forward. At the time I'd gotten like really comfortable at being like just side man, like we sang some melodies together, but I'd usually break off and go into a harmony and just playing like rhythm, not like lead stuff anymore. I'm not a great lead guitarist. Joey's a great lead guitarist. Nicholson plays great guitar. I'm like, I'll just be the rhythm guy. Do some picking and singing. I feel comfortable. And then that happened. I'm like, oh man,
Is this on me?
Exactly. So we decided to at least try to forge ahead, not use any of that music. Maybe it was our own stubbornness or just trying to make our own stamp of let's write new material and record it. And we did. Within 6 months, we had written and recorded a new record, and then we're able to kind of, because it's not like we had to put it out on social media or anything like, hey, this is going on. We were able to tell the label, obviously, wanted to, full disclosure, Tim has left. I'm going to be singing, and these are the songs, and Simon was gracious and loved it and supported us. And thankfully, as we went to then go tour and pay homage to that history and still play some of those old songs, fans were cool. They embraced it and was like, they got it. I'm like, if there was a desire or a lament of the absence of Tim, I'm like, I feel you. I miss him too. I want him to be here, but I also want him to be happy. And he wasn't happy. And so I think now, many years later, it's a lot of healing, and I think everybody's in a better place. But yeah, that was it was a tumultuous time of trying to figure things out.
For sure. So you kind of got catapulted into that frontman position, right? I mean, talk to me a little bit about that, Eric. I mean, most of us, 99% of the population, doesn't have any feeling understanding what that feels like to be the front man, the guy
Right.
on, or even any of the guys on stage, like really performing to a live audience. What races through your blood and your heart and mind when those are going on, and what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I love playing with a band. I feel like, and like I said, even at the time where I'm like, I'm a sideman, I still sometimes just feel like a sideman.
Yeah.
I am usually the one that engages with the crowd, or talks and
Right.
you have some banter. And that was always, even when Tim was in the band, kind of my role along with musical side of things. But I feel like we're such a tight unit, and really play off of one another and try to shine a light on everybody, that it's not like, well, it's, I'm the lead person and you all, no, it's like we're kind of in this together. And it also, maybe it's a thing to just kind of not feel like there's so much pressure. It's like, well, we can carry this weight together,
Yeah.
And I love to sing. I always have, it's great to sing songs that people want to hear and sing back to you. I remember when that happened for the first time in Norway. We go over there for a festival and they're singing Roscoe, and I'm like, this is awesome.
so
How do you
cool.
know this song?
Yeah.
And it's just really cool.
What a great feeling, yeah.
So yeah, you almost can vicariously have a newness of experience, just like someone wanted to hear a song and it makes them happy, and it's like, man, well, let's play that song, you know? So
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, so you had that piece of advice, stay together, and obviously there was a little shift there, but otherwise, really, y'all have stuck together, and that is amazing. I mean, and I imagine, we talk about, like, in our business, hey, we want to be, we want to treat each other like a family, and kind of be there for each other. And I'm sure over the years, as long as y'all have been together, it is kind of like family now, right?
it is, not everybody lives in Denton anymore, but, like when we get together, it's like riding a bike, it's like just brothers getting back together, poking fun, having fun, and just making music. I think it's something, after all these years, it's been quite comfortable just to settle back in. But yeah, obviously in the early days, everything revolved around the band. We ate, drank, slept,
Right.
the band, Midlake.
Right.
Well, then you get married, then you have kids, then you have a mortgage, and it's like, okay, there comes logistics that you are aware of everybody's respective just life situation that you want to give deference to or respect to, saying like, okay, we need to make sure that everybody's on board with this thing or that thing. And so it obviously gives you an inherent empathy of like, okay, let's make it make sense, because if we, especially going on tour, sometimes we'd go for 2 months at a time. It's like, that's a long time to be away.
Right.
That, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Because back to Wayne's advice, let's stay together. Well, let's not make it hard to do that or unhealthy,
Mm-hmm. Well, and you're, like you said, as you've all gotten married and had kids and whatever, now your families have become part of that family.
Yeah.
And so that's all got to blend in well. And speaking of family, so I think your wife, Kristen, is awesome.
Thank
Kristen,
you. I agree.
yes.
I firmly agree.
If you're listening, Kristen, we love you. No, so she's got that Main Street manager role now at City Denton, and I think she just does a bang-up job on that. So really love what she's doing. So now, what's it like to live in her shadows here in Denton?
Exactly. Exactly. I love it. I mean, it's kind of, it's like most stories. You can't really write them, It's like they kind of write themselves, and it's so cool for her and her own experience and talents to be applied in that way. Because she's got and she should come on here sometime and tell her story, because, for her to land where she is and to be doing things, which of course I'm biased, but it's going to help, lift everyone, and we're seeing it this month, with the work that that team is doing and the city's doing. It's like, it's such a huge element of the vitality of our city and our town, specifically downtown, which I know that's the heart.
We need good people, more good people. I mean, we got a lot of good people, but more people like Kristen in this town, kind of, at the city and in other positions that can kind of help, like you say, lift everything up.
I agree, and I feel like there are and there have been. It's been a progression. There was a long time where I was ignorant to anything on a city level. Why would I know or want to know? And they started writing about Midlake, and I was like, I want to meet some of these people,
Yeah.
you know. And Kim Phillips was one that I met. We went to lunch and connected and talked, and it just started this kind of domino effect of I joined the Historic Landmark Commission, the HLC. Then I joined GDAC, Greater Denton Arts Council. Then I joined the CVB, you know, Convention Visitors Bureau. And I'm like, man, okay, I'm starting to dig in and starting to see how the sausage is made. And it's like, wait a second. Let's take
I
a
don't want to
step
see
back.
all this.
Yeah, but it really was a good time of just trying to bridge that gap where it's not an us versus them. You know, it's like we're trying to connect dots that aren't always the easiest to do so, and also trying to lift, like I said, the community and the city as a whole in a positive way, and an image of an artist community. Okay, well, how do you shine a light on that and grow that, and how do I give back as well? And some of these organizations that I don't know much about historic architecture, but my friend Robert Gomez was on that board. Kevin Roden was there, and I was like, well, they did it, maybe I should do this. And you just meet people. And I think that's the biggest thing. Even with this conversation with you and meeting you and talking, you just learn about one another and go, I think there's probably more that binds us together than doesn't. And I think we have a lot of common goals too.
Absolutely. Yeah, just get plugged in, right?
Yeah.
And just see where you can make a difference if you want to, because there's lots of opportunities. And I love the way you said it. It's like, I didn't really know what I was doing getting into this, but I did. You just jump in, and people are so supportive. It's like, okay, come along, and then you learn a little bit, and you get to kind of shepherd it along at some point too. So kudos to you to getting involved. Well, I want to talk about the new album, but maybe while we're on this topic of kind of Denton and business ventures, let's talk about some of those ventures you've been a part of. You know, I mentioned Norman Roscoe and Paschall's, and even Barley and Board. You know, it's no longer open. But I guess let's start with Norman Roscoe. I think that's the one that, I mean, for me, I just every time I go into that store, I'm like, I find something new. It's like a kid in a candy store. Like, this is so cool.
I love it. I'm biased, but we have a ball there, and it's cool to have built that with Ranger. You know, we met in college when we were sophomore, or I was sophomore, he was a freshman at Texas A&M, and at the time, Ranger started a vintage shop down on the main square or stretch there downtown, and he grew up in McAllen, so he had a connection with going across the border, buying vintage, them helping pick out things that he knew had value or what he wanted to sell in his shop, and so he'd bring them back and he'd sell them in his shop at Northgate Vintage. I'm just friend, bum, musician, hang out, go up there, see what new shirts come in, and ask for a discount. And we just forged a strong friendship. Fast forward to what we previously went over. I graduated, moved up here. He stayed in College Station, and he got married, and we kept in contact. I got married. My wife, Kristen, was living in Nashville. She worked for Nordstrom before her time with the city, and she opened that Nordstrom there in Nashville. We didn't have any kids at the time, so we just go back and forth between Denton and Nashville. Yeah. It was kind of fun, because you could do that at that time. Cool. And Ranger, his wife was a teacher. I think they had their first child, and was kind of a little bit in limbo because he had also started he had bought a franchise in Pita Pit and had actually grown it to 2 locations. I think he might have been out of Northgate Vintage. Anyways, he got out of that and was kind of in a limbo and
looking for a new opportunity.
And us being young and dumb enough, and me trying to lure as many of my friends to Denton, I was like, well, you want to move up here and maybe we could figure out something. Like, we didn't know what we're going to do. Just move and figure out something that we could do.
What year is this?
This would have been 12, I think. Yeah. I think it was 2012.
Okay.
Because we were making that record that never came about. So I had, was just doing that. 11 and 12. Mm-hmm. And so he moved up and got a job in Decatur, actually, at the hospital with a company called Storts, which like cleaned surgical equipment, which random, but he had a contact. It's like, I got this job. He's going to live with me. His wife's still living in College Station. My wife's living in Nashville. Yeah. I think my brother might have been living with me at the time too. Yeah. My brother Jeremy, he owns Miss Angeline's now. And so we're just like, yeah, what do we want to do? Yeah. Midlake had a tour coming up, and we got the idea of Ranger had experience of doing a little screen printing with Northgate Vintage and like just printing the logo on a blank vintage shirt. Which ironically, the first merch we ever had from Midlake was blanks from Northgate Vintage that were screen printed. Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So we did a poster for this tour, and rubbed our nickels together. Got a vacuum, a little press, maybe one color, print, speedball, like that's it, and lay them out and they just dry, and then we gather them, take them, sell them. It's like it worked. Yeah. Like maybe we've got something here. So. That his wife moved up to Denton. They sold their house. They moved to Denton, and the house that they bought, we got more equipment and just started doing it out of the garage there. And so, 4 or 5 in the morning, we'd get up, print. He'd go to work at the hospital. I'd go to the studio, and on it went. Weekends, of course, and it was fun because it's like this. You're working, but you're also talking shop, which to this day we still do these things. It's like I don't know how we still have stories to share, but it's just it was a fun story. Just really, again, a means to an end. I just want to hang out with my buddy, and if we could make a business out of it, then great. And just little by little, garage to warehouse, and now, as you know, we're here on the square, and we have a retail shop. Which that retail shop really was the gateway in a way that even helped us get into now growing and going into wholesale and so
y'all are doing some cool. I mean, a lot of that merch in there in the stuff, it's like Denton centric, or it's got some play on Texas, or Denton, theme to it. But I understand you're kind of spreading that out, and there's other towns and states that are like, hey, I like what you've done there. Can you do something for our city or our town?
Yeah. So. I have to give my hat off to Sparky Pearson, because we wouldn't be in that building if he wouldn't have said, hey, why don't y'all move in here? Yeah. And at the time, it was
Evers building, so iconic.
Yes. Yeah. And he was renting it from the family, and it's kind of a harder building to use fully. And we weren't using it fully. We were just doing retail at the time. Right. And we had this big the company that did our Midlake backdrop, I had them make a Norman Roscoe backdrop, like a curtain. And the curtain was pushed all the way up because we can't fill this building. Yeah. So it was just like a little footprint. And we did consignment. Like, if you sold candles, we'll buy them at wholesale or consign them and then sell them. We did mostly other people's things, and stuff. And then we're like, I remember just thinking like, man, could we print a Norman Roscoe shirt and sell it? Like, well, we could try. We got some room. And so just little by little, and Kristen, even in her merchandising skills, helping out, trying to make us not look like the dummies that we are, doing windows and such. It was just a growth to then, like I said, get all the production and retail in there. And then to your point or question about kind of growing with, we had a very state-centric offering. Obviously, Texas is very proud, and it's good to sell Texas stuff. We were doing festivals. Like, we'd go live print at a festival or sell stuff that we had that was Texas-inspired. Mm-hmm. And we'd do live prints where maybe they had a design that we'd partner with, and we'd split the profits. And one of those festivals was Willie Nelson's festival, Luck Reunion, down near Austin. Mm-hmm. And it's on a movie set that he bought, and it became a festival site. And we went down there. We went down there a couple times, and I think it was the second or third time we were right next to some gals that were doing their own line of like hats. Yeah. And they were like, "You guys need to go to market with this." And we're like to buy, like we've been to market. Yeah. And they're like, "No, to sell your stuff. You should sell this stuff at market." And we're like, how? And they're like, just go here. This is about what it costs. And we've always kind of been like, well, let's just fake it till we make it, smoke and mirrors. And we bought or leased a space for an apparel market down at the World's Fair.
Yeah.
Or World Market,
Trade
sorry.
Center,
Yeah. And so we did it, and it's what you probably would imagine. It's a lot of people just selling their stuff, and we tried to make it really fun. We had our jumpsuits on, and I enjoyed it because like every sale you'd get was like somebody wanting to buy your stuff to put in their shops, and it just felt good, Well, the second to last day, there was a third party that's located on the second floor year round that we'd actually bought from called Ann McGilvery. Okay. They came up there and they said, "What are y'all trying to do?" And I'm like, that's a big question. Like, what am I trying to do? Like, we're trying to say yes to, opportunities. And they said, well, with Ann McGilvery, we saw you in your jumpsuits and followed you up the escalator and saw your booth and just thought it's really great product. And they weren't really doing much apparel at the time. And I said, we think this could fit. We want you to come down and visit. And, oh, by the way, Ann is there. So we go to this back room, this sweet older lady, and she tells us her story and just says, I love you guys, and I was wanting them to call you last night at 9 or 10 p.m. And I thought you'd be asleep, but I just I'm so eager to have you guys come down. So awesome. We took part of our booth and took it down to their showroom. That next week, we were there with our jumpsuits, and we did like triple the amount of sales that we had done in our booth up in what's called the temporaries.
Yeah.
And they come over to us towards the end of that fair, and they're like, you guys need to scale. We've got markets in Vegas and Atlanta and Minneapolis, and we just think y'all need to start adding other states to your offering. We had other products too, like shot glasses and keychains and stickers and magnets. It's a very vintage inspired like stuff that we do, as you know, and see those designs. And so we started alongside Brett Hawkins, who does a lot of that design work for us with us, partnering with him, like, let's just come up with fun things, even though this isn't our state or our city, that we think, and I'll start asking people from that area, like, what doesn't sound like we're coming up with stuff that we're from a different state. So we digitally like created
some
more
mock-ups,
for other states, and then have now branched to about 12 or 13 states, and then we're in the Vegas and the Atlanta markets. And this has just been a year and a half, and it's just changed our
awesome.
brand, and really kind of, not to say that we're a custom screen printer, and we love doing it, but it's a pretty ubiquitous type of offering, and it can be a race to the bottom sometimes, where it's like, we want to be quality, price it properly, turn around, customer service, but we also want to be able to sell retail, sell online, to do wholesaling, to do live events. So we still love doing live events, and because of the opportunity to just meet someone all the time. So we're so thankful for where we are, but also that we've kind of branched out, and then you can come back home and go branch out. So it's kind of become the other band in my life, doing these tours with Ranger,
Wow, so cool. And all that's happening here in Denton, right? I mean, your production, your screen printing, and
everything. Everything. And as you know, because we've talked about it, I don't know what the next move is, and how and if you scale in production, because in the screen printing world, it's kind of a running thing where it's like you're either a 2 or a 10 press shop, and it's like, that would be scary to be a 10 press shop, because it's not. I think we're kind of a little more niche, and it's unique because we want to do these other things, and sometimes we want to say yes, but sometimes you have to say no, and that's to do these other things that we feel like could be more scalable in our own, and to be honest, just the margin being good. Right. It would be awesome to be able to put our product in more stores around the country. Yeah.
Well, love that homegrown Denton success story. Y'all are on your way, man. It's so awesome,
Thank you.
Fun to watch, and I, again, just love going into the shop there and checking out all the new stuff, and maybe Ranger's up in the DJ booth.
He
right?
might be. Yeah, definitely on most Friday nights. But yeah, it's fun to have that little fishbowl of a perch. And we had put. It's actually a funny story, if I might. So back in the day, Haley's, that was a club venue over here. They used to do 80s nights, and I knew the manager there, and the guy that was DJing was great, but he'd play a lot of deep cuts, you know. And I remember talking to the manager, and he's like, "Man, I wish he'd play some more hits." And I was like, "I DJ, and I'll play the hits." I did not DJ. I didn't even have. I might have had a record player, but I didn't have turntables. I didn't have a ton of vinyl. So I
definitely picking up on this fake it till you make it theme you got going.
I go and start buying loads of '80s records because I love '80s music, and I bought turntables. And sure enough, one day he contacts me and says, "Hey, I need someone to fill in." And I was like, I'm ready. So I ended up doing it there for a little while, but I still hung on to these turntables that I have no business still needing. And I don't remember exactly what, again, probably Ranger and I just sitting around, probably him saying, well, what if we put those turntables up there? Like, that'd be kind of fun. We had like a makeshift stage, and we had started to do like, little like duets and stuff. And so we put it up there, and it fit just right. And now it's been built out a little bit more, and Dan's kind of helped make it a little bit more functional. But yeah, it's there to stay, and it's a great.
So he does that most Friday nights?
Yeah.
Kind of certain hours, or?
Yeah, he'll even sometimes go in there during the day. It's kind of an experiment, a human experience of just seeing like him noticing people recognizing him, playing music, and then the curiosity to come inside and just see what this place is, which I can't tell you, and you've probably experienced this, and as a business owner, it's like sometimes that barrier of entry can just be psychological, where it's like you just want to let people know it's fun and safe and cool and open the door, and so that is something that he recognized. So when he has time, he goes up there and it just sees people coming in.
That's super cool, and just to know that's just kind of a little hidden nugget that is going on, like you said, most Friday nights on the square. And it's cool. And there's some other people set up their own little speakers.
Oh sure, there's a lot.
It seems like that little row right there. Your stretch is kind of the
I'm
want to be musicians scene. Right?
It's like with anything. It's like, okay, I got that corner. You take this corner. It's like this sound travels, so let's try not to bleed too much over each other. So yeah.
Oh, very cool. So and Paschall's still going strong. That's you and your bandmates.
Yeah,
right?
we like I said, when we were in between records, it was kind of fortuitous in a way, because we had a little money in the bank. We didn't have much, but we had a little bit of money, and like anything, you try to have a safety net, but everybody's was living off the band to a great degree. So you get off tour, you're like, well, can we split all this up? I'm like, well, that's not a good business decision to split it all up. And we got the desire to start or some type of business. Obviously, it's a band. Let's start a bar, so we started looking at spaces and quickly realized if it was going to be even cost efficient or possible, we probably needed a more turnkey type of situation. And Andy from Andy's Bar was utilizing that top floor as kind of like a private space, and it wasn't as built out, but we would watch Cowboy games up there because he had a big screen TV. Right. And so he cooked some food in the basement, bring it up there, and a few of us would just watch the game and have a bite to eat and a drink. And so I came to him and asked him about doing something like this, and he was kind of like, well, okay, I guess give it a try. This is what rent's going to cost. And we didn't know anything much about running a business or a bar. And my brother, who I spoke of, Jeremy Dean, he was living in Houston still. And I was like, hey, bro, we like interior design. We like doing some interiors, and we had worked with a woodworker from some renderings that Tim had drawn of like a bookshelf and an archway, and then I wanted to do this lattice, and the woodworker's like, yep, come on, we'll do it together. We kind of were able to, in furnishings, we loved furnishings and all that, and it's evolved. It's definitely evolved. But cool Jeremy helped come up and run the operations of it, and I've been in it too, and then the one that kind of I feel like has been the remaining, like everybody's still an owner, but I'm kind of like the call probably too often. But it's been a really just for me something that I feel grateful that we were able to do it, but also a place that I hope for all of us, but anyone else, a reprieve of just like stepping away and its own little portal to Narnia coming up and kind of getting whisked away. And it's a very kind of English pub mid-century style that we're referencing with it. And there's some Easter eggs around there that you'll see in some of the frames and artwork and accoutrement. But I'm still proud of it and love it really anytime I see someone walk in and kind of just look around, and it just still warms my heart. So.
No, I'm with you, man. I love that same reaction when, some of the things we've done or bringing other artists. We talked about the piece that Dan did outside the studio here, and just like, if somebody new for the first time coming in, like, whoa, wasn't expecting all this, and this is really cool. And that bar certainly gives off a lot of that. It's really cool.
That's good. It's good to hear. I love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about A Bridge Too Far.
Yeah.
The new album. And now, I don't think that the way you've spelt two,
right,
it's either not correct or it's not an accident.
Right.
But,
I have to always say it's not a typo. I meant to say that.
So it's A Bridge Too Far, T-O, not T-O-O.
Yeah, I did. I try to, when I say it, I go, A Bridge Too Far. I go quickly so it doesn't confuse it. But I get it. The idiom is obviously people are familiar with. And I love playing kind of with words like that. And so that was, and it was actually kind of written the latter part of writing this record, but I felt like there were themes within the album that it addressed and fit with, and I just knew, I was like, I think this should be the title track. So,
yeah. So the idea, if I may just kind of glean it, and you shared with me kind of a little sneak peek. That was so exciting to kind of get the full album. I mean, there were 2 or 3 songs that already kind of been released. But you sent the full album, and I've been jamming on it, and so. But it seems like, hey, that's kind of a bridge too far, like to a place. And, and where do we want to go, and what do we want to do, and obviously it can mean something different to everybody. But
and I love that element. I mean, there's a lot of songs that might be specific to some incident or relationship, but I wouldn't want that to deter from someone else being able to connect with it. And in the simplest of terms, it was a sentiment of hope, of like escaping, but not just for the sake of shutting down or turning off, but just to say, whatever that circumstance might be, big or small, that there's to try to provide that belief and maybe even that vessel to a place of hope, and goodness. So
that's, as I've listened to it, and I've listened to all the songs a couple times now, and so don't know any of them. I want to talk about a couple of more songs, but I'm definitely picking up on that theme of hope and perseverance, and, kind of perspective. And I know, now nearly a couple of decades into this, y'all probably have more perspective on all of this. A couple of specific tracks that, for me, I just happened to be listening to them while I was on a morning walk. But Days Gone By and Make Haste, both of them were like just perfect morning walk songs, and just really, really cool songs.
That's awesome. Yes, I will say, if I may, with Days Gone By, so it's the opening track, and it was one that I had written, but it didn't have a 3-part harmony. And when we took it into the studio, Joey and Jesse, we were kind of around the piano and worked out a 3-part harmony that would just go throughout the song. And Jesse did some cool woodwinds, and it just kind of hopefully puts you in the mood, in the place, And we became friends with this actor James Lance that's on Ted Lasso. He plays Trent Krim from The Independent.
The Independent,
and we had met him on the last album cycle, and he said, I love the band, and we're just like, man, thank you. That's so great. He bought a T-shirt. He wore it on an episode of Ted Lasso. You're like, man, thank you. Like, and then he's like, I want to do something more with you guys. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an interview. I don't know if it's a video. Anyways, the album came around. We sent him the full album. Like, here's the album if you want to do something. And the director Taylor and Jimmy James worked together to come up with this concept for a video for that song. And I remember talking with him. I was thinking, like, I don't know if that's like a single or, but then I'm like, what's a single anyways these days for a band like us? If you like the song, just do whatever you want. And so they sent it over to us after they finished it, which is on the streets of New York, which is kind of playing off the sun and not getting hit by a car. I mean, it brought new life to the song for me. And like you said, it kind of put me in that place when I go on my morning walks. And I'm like, man, this just a thankfulness for and a gratitude for this big ball of fire that comes up every morning. And it was just a simple tip of the hat in that way. And he just embodied it, I thought, really well. And just kind of this beginning of almost like a somber kind of growth into celebration and dancing, which I didn't think it was a dancing song, but I'm like, I think it could be a dancing number now. So that one,
he had some good moves.
Yeah, he did a great job.
So midlakeband.com, you can see that video on there and obviously find it on YouTube, but it is really entertaining. And I mean, the music's great, and the way he kind of, the way he portrays and dances through that is pretty
so
fun.
good, just perfect.
So you hit on it a little bit, your creative process in making a new song. I mean, I would love to unpack that just for a few minutes. Like, how does this work? I mean, you have an idea for some lyrics, and then you go to the guys and, hey, what could this sound like? Or do you have kind of some of the sound in your mind? Or how does it work, a new song?
It does vary, and I feel like it's very collaborative and has been not only out of want but out of need. I think the whole is better than the sum of the parts. And it also, I think, adds to just feeling more a part of the music and the songs. So I guess there's not a direct answer with every song, but I love melody, I love singing, I love in my voice message or something like just no lyrics, but maybe just a turn of a melody. The guys do a great job, not necessarily with coming up with melodic ideas, but a lot of times it might just be a musical idea that then I can write a melody over, which I love doing because I'll end up writing the same 3 chords, and so it's really cool to kind of have them give their idea. I've even done it with Joey, where he'll do an idea, have a melody, and then not have one. Then I'll do a melody, and then we'll compare notes of like what each did over that progression. So, but early on, it was a little more daunting because I hadn't written a ton, and I was working on a solo album. Tim was as well while we were making the Midlake record, and one of those songs called Provider actually made it onto that record, which the band made better than I would have made by myself for sure. But over time, whether it's Banquet and doing that collaboration, obviously with E.B. the Younger, and even though it was my solo project, the band was very much involved, not just some Midlakers, but also the guys that were making the record. Matt Pence from Echo Lab Studios was great. The producers, Bo and Jonathan. So I just try to learn and get better. And when we made this record, it was a little bit longer. Well, it was a process of writing that we were kind of exchanging ideas. Then we'd get together, play, maybe develop those songs a little more, go back, do some more. To where when we actually recorded the record, it was just 2 weeks with the producer at Echo Lab.
Wow.
We go in, kind of have a little bit of looseness, not like everything has to be a certain way. That way you can kind of write some of that in the moment. You could add this instrumental, this harmony, like I was saying with Days Gone By. That wasn't originally part of the idea. And just kind of feeling it with one another and being like, I think that's there. And also leaning on the producer a lot, which after last album with John Congleton, now doing this with Sam Evian, I'm like, even more so, like, I don't ever want to not have a producer, because I think trust and just leaning on someone while you get to just play. Like, I'm not turning any knobs. I'm not like over someone's shoulder. I'm just like, we're just going to play and trust one another and this producer and engineer. And it was great experience. I know that was a long-winded
I love
answer, but it's not like I write the songs and just say, guys, this is it's like, no, it's not that at all,
And y'all, I mean, it seems like you've got a lot, probably more instruments going on than most people even realize. I mean, what are some of the funky instruments I mean, obviously you got guitar and drums and keyboard and vocals, but
and a lot of that is Jesse, because when Jesse joined the band, who's a phenomenal pianist, he was playing with actually Robert Gomez, who we were both on Bella Union. We went on tour. We met Jesse, he's a phenomenal musician. And we had a need and an opening, and he came and moved to, he was Portugal, Woodstock to Denton, and he's from Woodstock, and learned how to play flute, which, not the easiest thing, whether that's the embouchure or whatever that's what you call it, or knowing the voicings. But if you learn how to play the flute, those voicings can translate to other woodwind instruments. So he'd pick up a sax or a clarinet, or and it was like now he's got this repertoire of toys that he brings to the studio, and you can hear it on the album. So whether it's on a keyboard, whether it's him going off on some woodwinds, whether it's Nicholson or Joey guitar, Mike on bass, or of course Mackenzie with the drums, like everybody's just playing and trying things. Yeah. I'm mostly just playing my acoustic and singing. I'm like, that's all I got, guys. That's all I got. And you know what? I don't even need to play an instrument. So it was fun. And it was, what was also cool, sometimes like we'd get to like an instrumental, and we know there's an instrumental in the section, and we'd just leave and leave Jesse there with the producer, and they'd come up with something. We'd come back and listen and be like, that's pretty cool.
That works. Yeah. So is there, whether it's this album or maybe one of your previous, I mean, is there a song or two that's just like, man, this thing just made itself, like it unfolded in minutes, and it didn't take any work? I'm sure there's others that you kind of struggle with, but like which ones just kind of really unfolded to
I really liked which one of the songs that's out now is called The Calling. I really liked how that one came together, and it was kind of a place I felt like we hadn't been before, which was kind of exciting. And there's like a sax section in there where Sam and Jesse go off, and it was a song that Joey had brought the idea and had this like melody that was kind of like going up and kind of ascending in a way that I wouldn't write, because sometimes you write what's comfortable, and it's like, well, what if I followed that guitar melody, or tried to, and got a little bit out of my comfort zone, and so that one I felt like was a cool new place, and it's always fun to go to new places.
Yeah, very cool. Wow, man, thanks for hanging around so long.
Of course, I love it.
I
appreciate you having me.
Anybody listening, if you're still listening, I hope you are. I hope it's been engaging enough.
Kristen's listening.
Yeah, but it's been longer than most episodes. But man, so much to unpack here, and such a great story. I guess maybe we talk a few minutes about kind of what you think the Denton music scene is like now. I'm a little bit of an outsider on this, right? I don't claim to be a Denton music expert, and I want to learn more. And I hope that through some things that are happening now, fine arts and some other venues, like that, maybe that scene even gets a little bit stronger. But what do you see going on in the Denton music scene?
Yeah, obviously I'm a little older now, so it's different over the years if you look back of kind of how we started, and the goals, and even the places to play, and that kind of changing. And still some of those still there and thriving, which I love. But I love that people keep taking swings, because you have to. And I know some things have come and gone, and some things didn't work out as well. But I think the pendulum, it always swings back, or at least my optimism hopes that it does, because I want there to be a place for everybody, whether that's genre, size, style, that can be a place to express their artistic, voice, and I feel like you mentioned it, fine arts, and I'm biased. I'm longtime friends with Jason Reimer. Appreciate what Jason and Barack have done at Texas Theater, and how you've supported even creating a foundation for this to happen, because it wouldn't, and a side of the square that had 4 theaters at one time, and I'm just so thankful that one is going to be there, and that we can see film and have music at a capacity that maybe we don't have at other venues. So again, these different levels of a platform, I think, are really important, and folks to support that and to
Right.
come see it, whether that be folks here in Denton walking down the street or it's be someone that's driving to see that cool, artist or band or film or whatever at these respective places. I think it's really special and important. And I want to give merit and credence to the flag that we wave. We
Yeah.
say we love the arts. Well, how do we show that with what we do? So I'm an optimist, and I want to see that through. I want to be a part of it. I want to champion it. I always have, and I appreciate everybody's perspective. But I think digging in is the first step to making it happen.
Mm-hmm. Any particular venue that you like going to catch some live
Sure.
music?
I mean, obviously Dan Silverleaf has always been, and I love Dan. He's, Dan's is kind of, to me, has served as kind of like the sanctuary of the arts community in a big way, of not just playing shows, but just meeting up, And I spent a lot of hours in there and still will venture over, maybe more so during the day, and see Dan having a beer and getting to give him a squeeze. And him and Pam, I think, are just deserve
played there,
sainthood. We actually played there this year for a benefit concert, and that was special for a lot of reasons. But I just love an excuse to see my friends, and people that I don't usually get out too much, and well, we're playing at 6, so
right here
Yeah.
in town. Yeah. Very cool. What about any favorite restaurants or coffee shops, hidden gems that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, so I love a lot of the restaurants around town, and as you know, when you live downtown, you can kind of get the inside scoop of some of these. And square centric, of course. I mean, LSA's right next door to us. El Taco Ache, right down the street, which is a great spot. Chestnut Tree to the other side of us. Love Suzanne and loved Chestnut Tree for years.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the coffee road of Triptych, Jupiter House, West Oak. We're spoiled with a lot of caffeine. We even have bunch inside Norman Roscoe that we caffeinate with. Love the Thai Square and the Royal Yum as well. It's on the other side of town. Obviously, Osteria and Kichi are kind of more like date options, but very good in their own right. But I love Fetta's, which is outside of Oak Street. I wish they were open more often, and Euro 360 on the other side. If I go over there and get my fix with a salad. I love what's the Komodo Loco? Wish they were open during the day more. We used to go every Friday when they were open for lunch. But the one I want to give you, that's, I think, a hidden gem, and more people are figuring out about it. But it's called Moto Sushi.
Okay, haven't heard of it. Where is it?
So it's on 288 and the highway, and it's in that shopping center on the south side of the highway, right over like Little Caesars, I think, is over there, or Papa John's maybe.
Papa John's, yeah.
And the chef is always there. His name is James Bond. I don't think that that is his birth name, but he owns it, and he will remember your name after the first time you go there. He always gives you a dap. His wife works there as well, Sue. They're awesome. They're so sweet. I sit at the bar most of the time. And he's kind of, to me, a depiction of the owner-operator that's making it work and growing the thing. And just great sushi, great lunch specials, probably a little more busy at night. You can get reservations, but I highly recommend checking that out. And there's lots more, obviously.
I'm gonna check it out. Go see James Bond. I gotta go see that.
Yep. Tell him I sent you.
Okay. When you mentioned Triptych, give them a little shout out, because Oak Street. I'm sorry.
West Oak.
West Oak. There we go. Thank you. West Oak and Jupiter House. I mean, right there. Square facing and really in your face, and longtime staples. But Triptych's doing cool things down at True Leaf.
Our crew goes over there, and like you mentioned with Taylor and True Leaf and her husband Michael, it's a true kind of partnership of saying we're going to have 3 businesses in one and kind of help one another. She obviously does art shows, which you've been to as well. So that's a cool. And also, it's cool when you start seeing the arms of the square kind of grow.
Yes.
You got Salon Envy next door to that. And it's just cool to see life breathed into some of these buildings that there wasn't anything there, and wouldn't you rather see something in there?
Spread the love a little bit. Absolutely. Man, I really enjoyed the conversation. I've got to ask this personally because I was just having a conversation with one of my sons about, he's like, if I could do anything in life, I'd love to be in music, and I don't need to make a lot of money. I want to be comfortable, but I really want to be in music of some sort. Guys that, whether they're actually musicians or they just want to be in the industry, what advice do you have for a young person? How do you crack into the music scene?
That's a good question.
So many routes probably, but
it is a good question, and it's gotten a lot better. Like when I was at A&M, I took like every music class, but there weren't a lot offered, and they were mostly like a history of, and just it wasn't as much of applied, any theory or performance as much that you see like at UNT. Yeah. Nowadays, there's a lot more, avenues with schools. Speaking of the Flaming Lips, Scott Booker, who's their manager, runs it's ACM at UCO in Oklahoma, and it's a great music program there, and they have different artists that come and do Q&As and stuff. So it's out there. When I was coming up, I was lucky enough that one of our first managers with Midlake, who was just a friend, Sally Clark, now Sally Sosa, had done the internship before I did at Universal Motown. And then she gave me the contact and kind of the, hey, he's cool. And I got that internship. So it's like it's like networking, which I get it. It's scary and it's hard, but you got to ask the questions. You got to be prepared for people to say no or go ask this person, because you got to throw lines out there. And I think it is an industry too that's probably shrinking in some ways, or at least getting a little bit more specific on how things are done, depending on what you're doing, whether that's on the business side, on the technical side. There's always going to be expertise in those avenues, but it's starting from the ground up. And if that's an internship, if it's a apprenticeship or something at a venue, if it's just talking with someone that maybe knows about the industry or is on a label, or it really is, I think, again, depending on that kind of line of the industry that you want to pursue, is trying to find people that do that. And I think things like LinkedIn that are out there now, you have okay, this person works here, they do this. Maybe reach out, say hi, get a coffee, can I have a Zoom?
You got to put yourself out there a little bit. And I think your story earlier when you bought the turntables, like I don't know, but I'm going to tell him I do this.
Oh
yeah. You just kind of put yourself out there. Well, so y'all are sticking around Denton. You're Denton.
Yeah,
Kings.
I am. I think, we put our flag in the ground a long time ago, and as you know, it's hard to pull that flag out now, and I'm thankful for it, because the investment of not just business but our family, our kids, are growing big and love this community and getting plugged in. Obviously, Kristen now in her work with the city, it makes you more invested in wanting to see it grow in a good way and in positive ways, and just bring some goodness, because we experience it together,
Stay here, keep making Denton great, or helping make it great. We people like you guys are just such an integral fabric of our community, and so love having you here, obviously. So
thank you, Brad.
Well, so in November, you released the album, and then
November
right behind 7th. It, you start touring, right?
Yeah, we'll do a little bit around the release, more regionally, and then we'll go over to Europe at the beginning of next year for a tour. And then a lot of these things, you kind of do that first, stretch, and then get more offers throughout the year, and hopefully festivals. And we hope to get around as much as possible. And I'm hoping that theater will be open maybe next summer. We could do something there, because I talked a little bit with Jason about that. I was like, that would be nice. That would be fun.
Do a show in Denton right there. That's so awesome. Well, I'm looking at these again on your website, midlakeband.com. You got those what's already announced, at least, is your tour, but man, I've never been to Amsterdam. Maybe I'll have to come see you there in
That's
February.
an awesome venue too, Paradiso. You'd love it.
That'd be so cool. Well, hey, we've got a tradition here on If You Didn't Know.
I do.
And if you didn't know, Eric, we do Norman Roscoe hats. So this kind of ironic, you're going to get one of your own hats, but you can pick one out. Maybe you can go trade it for a different one if you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go get my money back. That's what I'm like. Hey, I'm gonna go with just the classic Denton.
Yeah. Well, everybody else that doesn't have a Norman Roscoe hat or merch, go in there, check them out. They do some great work. Eric, man, can't thank you enough. Thanks for the extra time. I know we talked a long time.
Oh, I love it. Thank you, Brad. I appreciate all you do, and you just giving me a seat at the table to chat. I love it.
Well, so the website probably the best place to point people. You probably
the socials and the website, but everything's there.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you didn't know, somehow you didn't know Eric Pulido in Midlake and his story, now you do. Check us out next time. Thanks again, Eric.
Thank you, Brad.